Hello, this is Tormod, and I want to talk about how we can master and overcome the suffering we know as schizophrenia. I am walking this for myself, so I know what I'm talking about. I've been walking this now basically since I was born. I reckon I was born with schizophrenia, but for the last almost 9 years now, I've been working with Destiny I process, using self-forgiveness to heal myself, to stop the conspiracies and the reactions and the feelings, emotions, backshots, all the nonsense that goes on in the schizophrenic mind and in the schizophrenic world, and removing symptoms from my sphere and becoming self-honest, becoming self-responsible, and becoming more real. So what I want to show you here is some easy, simple drawings. First, I'm going to start with this. How this is like an ordinary person. This is like a person. There's two circles here, where the big circle is the whole person, and the little circle is the mind of the person. And about 60% of human beings can control their negative personalities, their negative reactions, and keep themselves, at bay, in control of their own minds, basically. While about 40% don't even know what is backshots, what is voice in the heads, what is the difference between feelings and emotions and thoughts. So there's a difference of awareness and mannerism, and also there's a difference in the diagnosis, because with a schizophrenic, this is like the ordinary person with a self, a whole self, and the mind within it. It's like controlled. It's like it's grounded, basically. It's stable. What happens with the schizophrenic that we see today is that the self is here, and the mind of self is here, and then other personalities appear, and they have their own mind systems. You can see there are two circles here, there's two circles here. So these personalities that pop up have their own mind systems attached to them. And that makes schizophrenia so difficult, because there might pop up personalities at these other, there might appear personalities at these other human beings. They might also experience personalities, but not with separate mind systems, Other human beings might also experience personalities, like these here, but not that carry their own mind systems, more advanced, you might say. And when the reality shifts from one mind to another totally different mind, it goes without saying, if you have a little bit of insight, that is very alarming. Okay? But once you change one's reality from one mindset to another mindset, a totally different mindset, that is alarming. I'm sure you can imagine that would be difficult to experience. And that is some of the essence of schizophrenia. So what we see here is that most people, ordinary people, experience personalities and backshots and emotional turmoil and reactions, but they manage to keep themselves constrained within their own minds, their own persona, their own self. But with schizophrenia, it becomes so much more complicated and diverse and complex because the personalities that pop up carry their own mind systems. And like I say here, this becomes very difficult. And that we know as the suffering, the voice in the head, the alarming paranoia, the deep anxiety, fear, conspiracies, all sorts of troubles for the ordinary schizophrenic being. So, I have a recommendation. If you are suffering from schizophrenia, please see a doctor or a healthcare professional who can help you with your suffering. I do, however, have experience with schizophrenia, and I would like to explain myself, but I want to emphasize, if you're feeling very psychotic or very suicidal or any of those terms, please seek help from a professional team, local team. And so, because what I want to explain now is, how is it possible to become more whole with self? How is it possible to become more whole within the self persona, that is the original self, and block out and more or less delete these personalities that pop up with our mind systems? How is it possible to become more one with self and not experience those other personalities that pop up to give themselves, with their own mind systems? That makes reality very skewed. What I recommend to do, I've been working on forgiveness, self-forgiveness, on forgiving the personalities and the mind systems that come and pop up within me. So to a very far degree, I have stopped. There might be many with the schizophrenic suffering. There might be many personalities and many mind systems. There might be 10 or 12 even, or even more, that pop up. That makes reality complicated and difficult for the schizophrenic, where the world is very chaotic and one is very sick, basically, because reality is not present, basically. Because reality shifts from one personality to another personality with another mind system all the time. And there is a literal war between these personalities within self and the personalities. There's like a war going on between the mind systems of these different personalities. And and because of this internal war, we experience voice in the head, hallucinations, conspiracies, all sorts of symptoms that we experience because the world is so basically fucked up for the schizophrenic being. Now, here comes some of my solution to this. How is it possible to ground self in the self, the true persona that one is? How is that possible? In order to ground myself in the true persona that is me, that I am, I must know myself. Like Socrates would say, know thyself. And I would emphasize this for people with schizophrenia, so they can know themselves and feel trust and self-confidence and groundedness within themselves, so they can see when another personality is popping up somewhere within their world. They can just breathe and stabilize, ground themselves, perhaps say stop on the inside, and stop that personality from hijacking the reality. Okay? Now, how do we know ourselves so well? Good question. What I recommend is, for start, to find who is in here. Okay, we have a mind that is mostly chaotic, full of thoughts and feelings and emotions, imaginations, ego, consciousness, subconscious, all the dimensions, everything up there. All the commotion, all the horror, basically. While the body, the physical flesh, the blood, the organs, the heart, the breathing, the pulsing of me. And then we have in between the beingness, the universal beingness, okay, that I am on a endless perspective, basically, that has a eternal potential. So what I recommend is to find self in a calm position on the couch or on the bed or somewhere, and breathe deeply, and look, and perhaps hold a hand to the chest area, top chest, and breathe deeply, and try to see what is in here, what is in me, what image do I see in myself, what sort of awareness is here. Is it a bear? Is it a phoenix bird? Is it a human being? Perhaps it's a child that I see in here? Is it a flower? A river? What do I see in here? What do I see within me beyond the imaginary mind? Okay? What do I see in the... Yes, there might be darkness in here. Often there is darkness in the physical, because the physical had been suppressed by the lightning mind for eons of time. I will say that one more time. The physical life, flesh, have been suppressed by the imaginary light of mind. So there is often darkness down here. Okay? But there's always potential for one to see something in self, no matter how pitch dark it might be. There's always something one can notice, always a detail, always a glimpse, and so one will learn to know and nourish that potential, that seed within self. So again, place a hand to the chest, breathe, be calm, and try to use the awareness of the body to see what is here, what is moving within me. Is it a phoenix bird? Is it a flower? Is it a child? Is it myself? Is it a person? Who do I see in here? Okay? And then try to write that out, pen and paper to self. What do you see in there? What is your beingness awareness? Beingness, universal beingness awareness. And give it some names, give it some text, give it some wording, paint a picture of it. Make some arty-farty stuff about it, so that you are giving yourself that, what shall I say, integrity and acknowledgement. You acknowledge yourself, and you are strengthening your own being, your universal being, the alien within us, basically, So give it some names, give it some words, and develop a self, develop a trust within you, that you know that I am this flower, I am this phoenix bird, or I am this bear, I am this child, I am this energy flow. Give it a name, work on making a concept out of it, make some drawings, pictures, whatever, out of that you find within you, so that you can, by the term of Socrates, know thyself. You can know yourself by what sort of a awareness is floating, is burning, is fighting, is yearning within you, within self. So that is my recommendation. And then you can, after you identify this, perhaps after give it a week, perhaps, and check in with self. What do I see today? Perhaps give it maybe like 7 days, like cool number. 7 days, 14 days, 21 days. 21 days is a cool self check to work on this for like a time and see what is in here, and then be certain that okay, I have this something within me that is sort of alive, sort of a beingness, energetic, something within me that is alive, that's a part of who I am, through and through. Write it out, make some drawings, establish a self within self. Okay? So that we can establish the self and the persona, the beingness that we are within us. And when we experience that there are personalities popping up everywhere and life is going into reaction and anxiety and fear and paranoia, we can perhaps close our eyes and hold a hand here and say, stop. I'm here. I have heaven within. Stop. I am here. I have heaven within me. Something like that. Work on something, be creative with it. But make sure to block out. I use self-forgiveness to block out these. I've been using it for more than 8 years. Writing, speaking, sounding self-forgiveness to ground myself into the core of me, of my being. So that I can become more stable, more reliant, more grounded, anchored in my own persona, on who I reckon I am through and through as a universal being. Okay? So this is some tips for you to work on about schizophrenia. Let me know if you have questions. And from my being to your being, I would like to say, in my being, there are, I've been working on this now for more than 8 years, this particular way of practice, self-therapy. So I can say that within my being, which is a very alive and not multiple, but there is, I know who I am in here, basically. I can recognize things. And one thing in particular that I recognize is my dear flower, dandelion. When I was a young child, I would often pick dandelions and I would make these whistles, whistles out of the stem of the flower. So, from there on, it would grow on me, and I've always kept dandelion close to me. Today, I just ate a whole dandelion there wasn't a flower, but there was leaves and the long root. I ate the whole thing today to cleanse my liver and to strengthen myself from vitamins and a good flower to consume, to have within. So I did that also. If you have questions or anything, feel free to ask me. I am here. We must care for each other. There is only us that can save us. So again, if you are suffering from schizophrenia or feeling suicidal or anything, please contact your local support team. Remember this, how to find self-grounded and stable within the self-person that we are, and how to stop these external personalities from taking over our reality. Thank you very much. Enjoy.